Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the final Halo Infinite controller settings video you're going to need. What is going on YouTube? I am Above Average Cody and welcome into a Halo Infinite controller settings video. Guys, if you are anything like me and it has literally been years since you have grinded a Halo game, this game can literally feel like a whole new world in terms of aiming and just using your controller in general. And having played tons of Call of Duty in the meantime and knowing my settings and what I like to play like really well, I thought this would be a cakewalk. I would jump into the settings, change a couple things, and it would feel exactly like Call of Duty. Boy, was I wrong. That definitely is not the case with Halo Infinite, which has oodles and oodles of different controller settings to really dial in, it seems like, any playstyle. Whether you like to run and gun, aim and shoot across the map, there's just endless amounts of settings that you can play with and toy with to make Halo Infinite play however you like. There's been a lot of complaints about the aim feeling off and things like that, but I'm hoping today's video will help clear up a lot of that for you guys. All in all, I'm going to do my best to not only tell you guys what works for me in this game, being a massive Call of Duty player, but also I'm going to explain the most important controller settings to you guys. We're going to focus on the sensitivity and acceleration section, the zoom sensitivity, which will be last in the video because that's probably the least important of all, and then we're going to focus on the move thumbstick and the look thumbstick. We're going to go over all these terms: dead zone, max input threshold, axial dead zone, and just a lot of complicated things that the average casual gamer may not understand. No offense, guys. If you don't understand it, does not mean you're a casual gamer. Just means this video is really going to help you out. And guys, please, 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 before we go into all of this complicated setting stuff here, please go down below, hit that subscribe button. It is completely free. Come join the Above Average fam. Leave a like on the video. And guys, if this video helps you out in any way, please leave a comment down below letting me know that it did, or throw in any questions that you may have in addition to what we go over in this video. Enough talk, everybody. Let's jump into the final controller settings video you will need to understand in Halo Infinite. Okay, guys, so for each setting, I'm going to go over in the simplest of terms what each of the settings is, and then I'm going to explain the values that I chose and why I chose them and why I choose to stick with that to feel comfortable. Now, what I like to do to test any settings is I go into the academy here, and then I go into weapon drills, because you can pick whatever gun you think you're going to be using. So in ranked, you start with the battle rifle. We'll go on the 3-star one where the bots are actually moving, crouching, and things like that. And the reason I like to go here to test out any settings is because the thing does not start until you pick up the gun. So basically, you can play with your settings all you want. You can sit there in an area where you can move around, test around the look sensitivity, things like that, but you do not have to pick up the gun until you are ready, and then you can test out the aiming and how it works, shooting bots and things like that. Okay, guys, so here we are in the settings menu for your controller in Halo Infinite. So we're going to start with the sensitivity and acceleration, and we're going to start with look acceleration. This is basically how quickly you can achieve the max turning speed in the game. So you're moving your look thumbstick, and it's just how quickly you achieve top speed. So you'll notice you start turning slow, and then you start to turn faster. Basically, the higher value will make you hit that max speed quicker, so you're not waiting for the slow turn to go away and then go faster. So lower value will increase the length of the slow turn. So basically, it's just what achieves the most like COD feeling sensitivity, so you get the most out of your sensitivity. And that's why I have my value all the way up, because it makes 5.5, which is what I'm currently on. Again, you could play with these constantly. I'll explain that later in the video, but this will make 5.5 feel like 5.5. If you have it lower down at like 0, I mean 1, you can't go to 0. See, notice it makes 5.5 feel more like 2.2, if you will. So if you want to get the most out of your sensitivity, I would put the look acceleration all the way up. So the reason you want that lower is for more of a finer aim, because if it's slower on the small movements of the stick, you don't have to worry about it going all over the place, but you can counteract that with lower sensitivity. So personally, I just leave look acceleration all the way up to make my sensitivity feel like what my sensitivity is, which I run 5.5, guys. I prefer a lower sensitivity. Same thing on Call of Duty. Call of Duty will feel faster no matter what. It's more of a twitch shooter, but I find myself, I need more precise aim on this game, so I run a 5.5 sensitivity, which oddly enough is the default. I've tried higher, I've tried lower, I just prefer 5.5. Now, I will mention some pros like to run a higher sensitivity on the vertical axis because they are looking down faster, throwing grenades, looking up. If you have to grapple something up high, generally you just have to move up and down faster than you would side to side. Now, that brings us to the thumbsticks, which is the fun area to talk about. Now, first we will talk about the center dead zones on both sticks. This value is basically where the stick is when it is not moving. So you want this value as low as possible. The reason you want this number as low as possible is because this sets the value where your stick is not moving when you're not touching your controller at all, but it also makes it so your controller responds instantly the moment the stick is moved. Now, you'll notice I have two different values. I have an 8 on the center dead zone of the move thumbstick and a 4.5 on the look thumbstick. That is because I think on an older controller, you're more likely to get drift, and I've had this controller for quite some time. I have a V1 Xbox Elite controller, and the move thumbstick is just taking a beating, so I need a higher value. So the way you find this number is you start at 0, and you just go up until you don't have drift. So I'll show you guys on the move thumbstick since I have such a high value. So I had it on 8. I'll go down to 4. Instant drift, guys. I'm not touching the stick, and it is moving. You do not want that because it just makes the controller less responsive. Now, I had to go all the way up until 8 before my drift disappeared. And again, this is trial and error, guys. You're going to have to go in and out of the menu until you can find your dead zone. It's going to be different for every controller. There's also ways you can calibrate your controller and hopefully get these values to 0 when you load up the game, but that's more complicated, and that's a topic for another video. Now, so basically, dead zone as low as you could possibly get without getting drift. Again, just keep trying different numbers until you don't have drift. I'll show you guys on the look thumbstick as well. I'll go down to 2.5. And there's ever so slightly drift generally when I do this. There is, oh, and now we have drift on both sticks. But basically, guys, just keep playing with it. Those are just the values that work for me. Where'd I have that 4.5? Okay, now let's get into the max input threshold. Now, this one controls how far you have to move each stick before you hit the max input, if you will. Now, the perfect example of these max input values is in games where you move the stick a little, you walk. If you move the stick a lot, you run. And basically, a higher value will make it so that you don't have to move the stick as far to achieve that maximum value, or in this case, the run value, if you will. So you'll notice for the move thumbstick, I have the max input all the way up because the lower value increases the variance of the acceleration curve. The higher value reduces slow turn. This means that the higher value means you only have to move the stick a little bit to achieve that maximum input, which is important on the move thumbstick because you want to be strafing and you don't want to have to make sure you're banking your stick all the way to the side to achieve that max value. Like if you look, I'm only moving my stick halfway, and I practically have my full strafe speed. Now, if I were to move that value all the way down to the opposite end of the spectrum on the move thumbstick, at least in my case, I noticed that I literally have to bank the stick all the way to the edge before I can achieve the max speed. And look, that's halfway now, and look how slow I'm moving. So for the move thumbstick, where you want to make those tricky moves trying to make people miss bullets, you want the maximum input. So again, higher value reduces slow turn. It says it right here. So you want the fastest turn possible, and a more responsive stick. Now, same thing for the look thumbstick, except I have this number all the way down. This is arguably the most important setting you want to play with on the look thumbstick because this is how you are going to dial in your aim. Again, I have it on 0 so that the acceleration curve is very different because I want the precise movements. It's even more complicated because I play with a raised stick. I'm not sure. There you go. I play with a raised right stick, so I need a very precise aim. Now, you're probably going to want a higher value and a more responsive one if you were on a regular size stick because it's just not going to be as responsive as the high stick. And again, that's why I have the value all the way down at 0 because I need the most precise move, and I want my aim going all wonky when I have the stick just moved a little bit. I want a lower value for the look thumbstick and a higher one for the move thumbstick. Now, this is a very complicated setting. You'll notice pros and everybody has a different one, guys. It comes down to your controller, it comes down to what you run, and it comes down to what you are comfortable with. Again, I run the most extreme values. Maybe I'm just a normie and I don't run very precise settings. This is just where I like these settings. And now let's get into axial dead zone, which is complicated to explain all on its own. And basically, we talked about horizontal movement and vertical movement in terms of the sensitivity. The axial dead zone will be the in-between. So that will be your diagonal movement. So moving the stick up to the top and the left, the top and the right is the area in between the X and the Y axis. And we'll read what it says here. Set how far the move thumbstick is from the X or Y axis before minimum input registers. Lower value feels more responsive. Higher value reduces drift. Now, lower value feels more responsive. Again, on the move thumbstick, we want the most sensitive moves so that we are not moving the thumbstick all the way just to get those max moves. So you'll notice diagonally, I'm moving very fast. It responds almost as good as my X and Y sensitivity. And that happens because that value is all the way down. So all the way down makes it so it is more responsive. You want to move the stick as little as possible to get the highest move on the move thumbstick. Now, I feel exactly the opposite on the look thumbstick, which is very complicated with the max input thresholds and things like that, because they're kind of opposites. The max input threshold, the high value reduces slow turn. Now, on the axial dead zone, the high value reduces drift, and I feel like this is where it gets very confusing. Now, the axial dead zone on the look thumbstick, I'm going to be honest, guys, you have to feel it. So I have it at default, which is just where it feels comfortable. But the high value, it feels very quick and very responsive, and it makes my aim kind of harder to use, if you will. And again, guys, I want you to do this yourself, and you will feel the axial dead zone, I promise. Now, if you set this all the way down, you get much less responsiveness when you are looking up to the top left and up to the bottom right. And what I do is basically I just move the stick diagonally, and you can instantly feel how different it is. And guys, this is why Halo Infinite settings are literally so complicated, is because of all these settings. And again, I run the default because I need a little bit of slower sensitivity on that, because again, it makes the aim much more precise. Now, this is again one of those settings that I play with quite often. Maybe one day I'm feeling a little faster and I can run that sensitivity at a more sensitive setting. So again, lower value feels more responsive, so I'll tick it down a little bit. But generally, I like it on the higher side of the spectrum because it makes my aim feel a little bit more sticky. And it's a little hard when you're focusing on the up, down, left, right. You do a lot of strafing in this game. And the diagonal values, I just don't like as responsive on my aim thumbstick. And again, guys, turn it all the way up, turn it all the way down, try it in the middle, just play with it and see what works best for you. So to recap what each of these settings are on the move and look thumbstick, the dead zones are what keeps your stick from drifting and basically where your stick should be sitting when you are not moving at all and what causes it to respond. So the lower the value is going to be more responsive. So again, you want that stick as low, that set as low as possible for your thumbstick. And again, that's going to come down to drift and things like that. Now, the max input threshold is how far you have to move the stick so that you get the maximum input. Again, use the walking and the running example. You move the stick a little, you walk. You move the stick a lot, you run. The higher the max input threshold, the faster you hit that run value or the maximum input or the max that your stick can give you. And finally, the axial dead zone covers the diagonals movements of the stick. So the up to the top left, the down to the bottom right, basically the in between the vertical and the horizontal movement here. And then finally, recap look acceleration, how quickly you hit the max turn speed, and then horizontal and vertical sensitivity is your left, your right, your up and your down, and how fast the stick is going to move. And again, if the look acceleration is low, your sensitivity is not going to feel like your sensitivity. Just play with it, guys. Again, the higher the look acceleration, the lower the sensitivity you're probably going to need. And the lower the look acceleration, the higher the sensitivity you're probably going to need. And briefly, guys, I will talk about zoom sensitivity. I leave all of these on their default. Just keep in mind, for a higher sensitivity scope, so for example, the 10x on the zoomed in sniper rifle, you may want a lower value because you're going to find it's very hard to control when you have too high of a sensitivity on a scope that is zooming all the way down. I believe this is just a 1.4 zoom. and you'll notice the 1 actually isn't that fast. Keep in mind, aim assist will save you. See how it's pulling me to the target, and a higher sensitivity may screw you up because the sensitivity pulls you, and if he moves out, you're going to find yourself going all wonky because you just got used to the slow movement of the aim assist pulling you to the target. That's something that's just going to be more comfortable for you. If you find you pick up a sniper rifle and it's way too fast, guys, jump right into the settings. Make sure you go down to the 5x. The sniper starts off on 5x. Lower that sensitivity, and then the zoom on the sniper rifle is 10x, and then all these others will be for other weapons because all the scopes have different sensitivity, and you're just going to have to find what works for you. Higher value means the sensitivity is going to be higher and the scope's going to move faster. Lower sensitivity, it's going to move slower, guys. Quite simple there. Again, default should work pretty good for you. You just may notice, at least for me, like with the sniper rifle, I like it a little lower, but I do have it on the default just for the sake of explaining this to you guys here. Now, guys, you're going to see a ton of videos of people showing you their settings. Oh, this works for me. This works great for me. Keep in mind, guys, everybody plays different. Everybody prefers different things. Everybody has different controllers. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get used to whatever settings Formal is running or whatever settings I Got Your Pistola is running. Not to shout out all the Optic boys there, but it's what works best for them, guys. You can get used to what they run, but in the end, the game is going to react best when you find what settings work for you. And trust me, guys, it's all trial and error. It takes a lot of time. It's a very hard thing to dial in, and that's really why you have to watch videos like this. I find it's best when you understand what these settings are. So, oh, my aim's a little off. I can go to the axial dead zone. My diagonal values are feeling off. Or, oh, I can't turn fast enough to kill that enemy. Then you're going to go in and go to look sensitivity, guys. Understanding these settings is very important so that you can find what works best for you and you can find what is comfortable. Now, guys, I realized there was a lot of info in this video. I think I covered everything as accurately as possible. I hope I didn't misspeak and give you guys the opposite of something like the axial dead zone, because a lot of these values are very hard to understand. I want to do this video because I've done a lot of playing with my own settings. I've done a lot of Googling, a lot of watching the pros, just to try to understand and get these values to a perfect spot that I like. I think I have them there, guys. Again, if you want to watch the live streams, I may toy with them live on the streams. And I guess that brings me to, guys, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications if you'd like. We've been streaming a ton of Halo Infinite. We'll be streaming a lot more Vanguard, a lot more Warzone when it comes out. And oh my god, I'm mid practice setting here, but yeah, guys, subscribe to the channel. Feel free. Leave a like down on the video while you are doing that. And leave a comment, guys. Please, please, please let me know if this video helped you out. If you want more aiming videos, more settings videos, more gameplay, how to improve videos in general, let me know, because I play with these settings constantly. I play the games constantly, and just hopefully this video helps somebody out there. And if you have any questions, obviously, guys, let me know down in the comment section as well. But that is enough talk, guys. Get out there, play with your settings. Again, you're going to be doing a lot of into settings, into gameplay, into settings. Do bot lobbies, do the weapon drills training like I said to here, and just eventually you will find something that is comfortable for you. And if you can at least get close, just playing the game will work out the bugs for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are literally the greatest. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay tuned for the next video.